I laughed at my sister's tragedy and now I'm uninvited to the baby shower I'm planning for her. My sister is due after in early January and we're planning her baby shower for early December. She decided she wanted to use my mother's maiden name, Rafferty, as her daughter's name. Not a tragedy itself, and I guess it works as a unique name. But yesterday I texted my sister that I needed to get the custom items with my niece's name ordered ASAP so they arrive in time for the shower. My sister then let me know they're going with an alternative spelling of Rafferty. I texted back, an alternative spelling of our mother's maiden name? My sister wants to spell it Rayfarty. So I sent back a bunch of laughing emojis and she asked what's so funny? I tried to explain that no one will pronounce that as Rafferty and she'll probably get plenty of the same mispronunciations. She told me I was being ridiculous. I texted back, my poor niece, little Miss Farty Ray. I was uninvited to the shower and my mom told me today my sister doesn't want me as the godmother anymore. But, Ray Farty is really bad, isn't it? Someone needs to tell her, right? Update, 2 days later, so we had an intervention on Ray Farty. I know everyone said to send a link to the original post to my sister to show her that 103% of the global population would call her daughter Ray Farty and that would be the easiest thing to do, but some commenters said some pretty gnarly things about my sister that she doesn't need to read and feel worse about herself. But I wanted to address a few things that came up. First, for those saying I shouldn't bother paying for the baby shower anymore, I had no plans to not continue to pay and help out. Disagreements and fighting aside, I love my sister and want her to go into motherhood filled with love and support, regardless of whether she wants my support or attendance at the event. Second, my sister's husband was made aware of the spelling change of Rafferty to Rayfarty about a month before my original post. He said he didn't think much of it until he saw it written down and immediately saw it as Rayfarty, too. He said her emotions had been getting worse throughout the pregnancy and he didn't know how to approach her about going back to the original spelling. He had hoped that when she gave birth, all the hormones would somehow leave her body, she'd come to her senses, and it would be a non-issue. Third, a lot of you were lumping my mom in with my sister and said some pretty horrible things about her too. All my mom knew was from my sister calling her to complain that I laughed at her for slightly changing the spelling. My mom just assumed it was a minor change like Rafferty until I told her to grab a pen and paper and I'd spell it out for her. Once she saw it was Rayfarty, she was team save this child. Now for those of you who told me I didn't have any tact and my reaction was mean, my reaction was because 1, people would call the poor girl Rayfarty her entire life for the sake of my sister being quirky. 2, pregnancy brain aside, surely my sister would realize her child will be called Rayfarty once it's pointed out, have a laugh, change her mind, and this will end up being a funny story to tell at her daughter's future wedding or something. And 3, my sister is a bit of a joker, so I also initially thought she was just pulling a prank or joking. But if she was joking, she took the joke really, really far. She spent $400 on a mural painted on one wall in the nursery. She wanted to debut the finished nursery to everyone at the baby shower, including her husband, who was forbidden to see it beforehand, that had Rayfarty incorporated into it that now needs to be repainted. She also bought herself a birthing gift. Is this even a thing? She'd have my brother-in-law present to her in front of everyone at the hospital, a $900 gold bracelet with RAEFARTY charms. The baby book also has Rayfarty embroidered on the cover. I contacted my sister's best friend Katie, not her real name, if my sister has told her anything about the spelling change. She found out about Rayfarty after the blow-up with my sister, as my sister wanted to get Katie on her side. Katie, who's a teacher, was equally horrified about the spelling and told me this is the worst attempt at a creative name she's ever seen. The intervention of sorts, the farty party, if you will, included me, my sister, her husband, his mother and father, my mother, and Katie. My sister refused to believe anyone could possibly see Rayfarty as Rayfarty and that we were just mad that she was taking creative license and that everyone does that nowadays. My sister said children are not that cruel to bully her daughter for her name, and Katie said plenty of kids are cruel enough and the others would join in so they're not singled out themselves. My sister countered that as long as all the adults are pronouncing it correctly that it'll be no problem, and Katie told her that not only would the adults not know how to pronounce it to begin with, but that as long as fart is in the name, kids will latch right onto that. I was happy Katie was there because she shared interesting names her students have had over the past few years, so I knew her opinion on this would probably be the only one to sway her. My sister cried for about 10 minutes and finally agreed to entirely change the name because even Rafferty was tainted because we had all ruined it for her. We told her to take her time to consider a new name. She told us she still wanted to honor my mother and she suggested she'd combine my mother's first name with her mother-in-law's name, and created a name on the spot that included a crass term for a lesbian. When my mother pointed that out, she started crying again and accused us of not letting her be a mom, and her husband suggested we leave it for now and we should all go and give her space. It's been radio silence until my sister texted me a couple of hours ago that she and her husband landed on Theodora and she is absolutely in love with it. She even decided by my unborn niece looks like a Theodora in the ultrasounds. She got those creepy 3D ones done where every baby looks like the same copper potato. I replied that was lovely and that I'm so happy she's happy. It's not my taste, but at least it's not Theodoru or some crap like that. So there you go, my niece has been saved from being called Rayfarty. I'm invited to the baby shower again, and I know this is just a little blip of my relationship to my sister and will be fine, but Katie will be taking over as godmother, which is fine by me. I can always be godmother to their next child, who will probably be named something like Taramshu. Thank you all for seeing the same thing I did and letting me know stopping Rayfarty from coming into existence was the right thing to do. New update, 1.5 months later, Rayfarty has made it to the party. I don't know if you remember my post from a few weeks back about my sister wanting to name my niece Rayfarty, pronounced Rafferty, not at all like Rayfarty. My niece has been born 2 weeks earlier than expected, but she is healthy and home now. When my sister first held her, she said, "She's so adorable," and got an idea. She wanted to change from Theodora to Theodorable. Thankfully, my brother-in-law put his foot down. He did give her carte blanche on the middle name. When it was supposed to be Rafferty, they went with Rose to counterbalance Rafferty being different. Now that Theodora was the normal name, and because my sister just cannot not be extra, she chose Jazinville. Theodora Jazinville. A Rayfarty rose by any other name would smell as sweet. We are not from Florida. My brother-in-law is not from Florida. I don't think my sister's ever been to Florida, much less to Jacksonville. I asked her how she came up with it and she said she always liked geographical names, which is news to me because I specifically remember a conversation about names months ago, and she said she hated when parents name their kids place names like Camden or Brooklyn because they're trying way too hard. But you do you, Rayfarty's mom. Also, our city has a pretty sizable Polish-American population and people will certainly try to pronounce it like it's a Polish last name, but at least the craziness is confined to the middle name. And there's no gas or slurs involved. Relief comment, does your sister understand the legacy she has created? OP, a few people know about the post, but I don't think she does. Or is too embarrassed to admit she knows. But she's not really on social media much except for water talk vids. Water talk is people sharing recipes for like flavored water. But sometimes no water is involved or is a monstrosity posing as water. Curtis Connor did a video on it if you want to find out more. But regardless, it's certainly a more niche community.